Hi, I'm Mary O'Malley, and I'm a GTD coach.
I'm Julie Ireland. I'm a GTD coach.
And today we are here to talk about how to track repetitive projects. And how would you describe these, Julie?
Yeah, I think anything that's recurring, and sometimes that's like could be on a quarterly cycle or a yearly cycle or maybe even a monthly cycle, but things that tend to recur at some sort of predictable cadence.
I think the other piece there is you don't want to redo the thinking for how to track that project.
Yeah.
So the example of what it would not be, in my opinion, and tell me what you think, would be like a remodel. If you're doing your kitchen and then you're doing the deck outside, that's kind of not the same.
Right.
So it might require some recreation.
Yeah.
But today we thought we would talk about taxes as a repetitive project. However you feel about that. So, Julie, do you want to share first how you set up that project in your system?
Yeah. And I think because we kind of talked about this before we started recording, and I really love that both of us, we have the same project, but we kind of do it a little bit differently. So for me, I basically just have a tickler in my calendar. It's an annual tickler in my calendar to kind of kick off like thinking about taxes for the year. I think I have mine around like January 15th. And then I have a checklist that I have kind of pretty much used for the past couple of years that I don't think about my taxes at all from the time I file the return until that tickler comes up, because I have that in my calendar with my checklist. And then I create a project at that point. So January 15th is just like I create the project called Complete and File My 2020 prior, whatever the year is, tax return. And so then that becomes an active project. And then I start working. I just make it like an active project with the due date of April 15th. So that has really worked well for me. So I don't have to think about it. I have copious notes from when I meet with my tax person. So that's all right there. Usually when I kick off the project for the year, I review the notes as my next action. So I just orient myself to that. That works really well for me. I have a few other things that I do work on a quarterly basis, and my tickler system is my calendar. I don't have like a paper tickler system. I don't have another version of that, but you do, which I'm super curious about.
Is it okay if I ask a question? As you
Yeah.
have a checklist,
Mhm.
where is that checklist? Is it a physical paper checklist, or it does?
It's a digital list, and it's just in my documents basically, and then I just pull it up, as every year when I kick off that project. It's like that's my first point of project support.
Do you print it out? I know you have a hybrid system, so I'm always
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny with my taxes. I don't print it out because everything is digital at this point. So I just work off the digital checklist, which is it's so funny as you're saying this. I could just as easily do that. I do have a physical file folder because even though in this day and age, there are a few things that I get. I'm an investor in a cafe here in LA, and they send K1s every year. They just send them physically. So I do have a physical folder where I keep that stuff because that's how it comes. I have a church that I belong to, and they send me like a donation statement. They don't send it digitally, so I keep that stuff. I have to scan it, of course, but I keep it in like my physical file folder until I'm ready to scan it.
Okay, that's really helpful. So how I do mine, to circle back to the tickler piece, I it's funny that you're saying you use it mostly digital. There's something about the project of taxes that I print most everything.
Yeah.
I think it makes my husband a little bit crazy, but there's something about having the like tactile, physical
Yeah.
things that is helpful. And my accountant sends us a checklist.
Mm,
It's like,
even better.
itemize that, itemize this, itemize.
Mm,
It takes us a really long time, but I have that checklist. Now, let's say we move accountants, or let's say he doesn't send us that 1 year.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
And his website goes away. I use Trello, and I do have a checklist in Trello, which is helpful because it has all of my accounts that I want to like pull the tax documents out of. I archive that when I'm done, and then annually I can kind of pull it out of the archive. It's
Yeah.
pretty robust, like archive search function.
Yeah.
Now for my Tickler, I do two things. One, just like you, in my calendar,
Yep.
my digital calendar, I will have like all day events. So
Yep.
it will remind me of where I am and what I want to do. But then I have things by the month that it doesn't, I want to do it that month, but it doesn't even have a specific day. So Trello is kind of set up like Kanbans.
Yeah.
I will set up January, February, March, April, May, June, and so on. And in November, I like to kind of get some tallies and make a meeting with the accountant in December to get a sense of where we are. And then in latest March, but February, I like to have that appointment. So in December, I want to be making sure I'm making that appointment for Feb because those appointment slots fill up.
Yeah.
So I have that in my Kanban board.
Yeah.
For December, make the appointment for February. November, make the appointment for December. And
well, I love that because it gives you more visual gestalt of all of the things that you're tracking versus I just have that stuff interspersed in my calendar. So I kind of love that idea. The question I have is, do you feel like on a 1 to 10 scale, even though taxes is for most people, I think not the most fun thing to think about or do, if 10 is like, it's like really airtight and 1 is it's really loose, where would you put yourself in terms of how your system is tracking that for you?
I would give myself an 8. What I like about my system is it allows me to iterate.
Yeah.
Then I can review the checklist. I can add new things. I do have in there as part of the project card in Trello, I have notes from the accountant so I can compare last year to the year. I could also, I guess as I'm thinking about it, put those notes in a Tickler where I just see it the following year too.
That all sounds pretty airtight to me. It's funny. I feel like the way I'm doing it is probably like an 8 or 9. I get frustrated for some of the pieces that are outside of my control. So those K ones, for example, it's like March 15th, my frustration comes from something I can't push that I like to, but the system itself, I feel really good about. And I'm so appreciative for all of this because it's like, I don't think about that stuff until I need to look at it and focus on it.
Yeah, that brings up a good point, which I don't do, but I have encouraged clients to do sometimes is track their waiting for is kind of stuff for this project.
Yeah.
The volume to do it. So I wouldn't, but do you do that?
I do 100%. Yeah. Yeah. And then it's like, it's a waiting for, I'm looking at that as part of my weekly review. And usually that means I push like a quick email. Hey, just checking in. So it's sort of like a very dynamic waiting for.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. I archive mine, but if you have a digital way that you track this, you could put it in the projects on hold or someday maybe yank it out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yours is on your desktop. So you just hangs out in the folder until you're ready.
Yeah. And then when it's done, then I file it and then I bring up, once again, like January, I bring up a new project with a new template and all of that. So
that's great. That's great. Okay. I hope this was helpful for all of you that are maybe racing to the finish on getting your taxes done and then also thinking, I don't want to do this again next year. You can create a project and think about it as a repeating project, not a one and done project. Set yourself up for success. And then Julie and I will record a video on ticklers.
Yeah, I love that idea.
We encourage you to check that out if we're saying that word and you have no idea what we're talking about, or you do, but you'd like to learn some nuance to it. As always, please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, please include them below. We do read and respond to everything.
Awesome. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you. Bye for now.
For more GTD resources, visit davidco.com and David Allen's YouTube channel. To explore coaching, email info@gtdfocus.com or visit gtdfocus.com and click Talk to a Coach.